Jrue Holiday year 12, Chris Middleton year 9, Giannis year 8. That's your starting rod. I mean, it's Milwaukee's instant. We have this instant gratification society. This has been a long work. Like Giannis and Middleton have been together now, and it's interesting where Phoenix kind of like, oh my God, Phoenix is good.
But Phoenix has kind of been putting this together for a while as well. They're not as old as Milwaukee is, but I mean, Booker's not a rookie. Ayton is not a rookie. They're young players, sure. They're younger than Milwaukee.
Yeah, much younger.
But it's not like Phoenix is a super team that just all came together. I mean, they've had their struggles. I think the difference between Milwaukee and Phoenix is Phoenix has been terrible over the last few years, and it seems like everything finally just came together last year, whereas Milwaukee has been consistently good. They've been consistently in that conversation, but they haven't been able to take the next step in the postseason, and now here they are in the NBA Finals. So the Lakers are limited in how they can upgrade their roster next season, due in large part to LeBron and Anthony Davis's big salaries.
Yep.
And once again, Kyle Kuzma seems to be on the trade block. They only have 7 players under contract this offseason. So the Lakers are reportedly gauging rival teams' interest in Kuzma and could be considering deals for him this offseason. He signed a 3-year, $40 million contract extension last year. So he has a very tradable contract for the level of player that he is. And, working, it would make it easier to work out a deal because it's not a long-term deal that someone would be trading for if they're not completely in love with Kuzma.
He bought into the defensive end last year. He's a long, athletic kid. LeBron and him, their games don't work. He's inconsistent, but he can start for most teams in the NBA. He's
I
a
think
starter
Kuzma's a nice player. I think he's kind of a victim of playing next to LeBron. Sometimes when you stand next to a supermodel, you thought your outfit and your hair looked good for a second. I mean, he's a good starting player in the league, and I think that they could make a deal for him. And he's just a victim of that situation. He also was a part of that championship team. Like, it's not like he wasn't a contributor.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of experience now, and experience playing with LeBron, which I think also has value. So with less than 2 weeks until training camp, we still don't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to show up.
Oh, so exciting.
I think he is. I know, right?
2 weeks training camp.
Football's so close.
We've said this, Joy. In a perfect world, this is how the calendar would work for us, which is the NBA ends. And don't we have the draft right after the NBA season?
Yep.
And then we have free agency for a couple of weeks. And then you go, and then you and I would only have about 3 weeks a year of Death Valley. It's after the NFL season ends until NFL free agency begins.
Right.
It's about a 3-week.
And it's not even really Death Valley because you still have regular season NBA games.
Yeah, no, but nothing's urgent.
Nothing's urgent.
But then free agency becomes urgent, into the draft, which is urgent, into the NBA playoffs, which is urgent, into the NFL, and then all of a sudden in October, it's a smorgasbord of baseball playoffs, NFL,
right,
college.
then we need a 6-hour show.
It used to be, when I got into this business, the summers were death. July and August, take your vacation, and February and March, you prayed that March Madness was good.
Yep.
Then the NFL moved its free agency, solved that problem. And now with the NBA, now they're going to go back to their schedule. But I would contend right now, they don't compete against anything. I mean, baseball has no urgency in July.
This is the ideal schedule for the NBA.
Totally ideal.
All NBA people are going to disagree, and so will the players. But
isn't it about, to me, it's always been about real estate.
It's really about us, guys. What's going to make it easier for us to do a show? That's how we should schedule.
But even for fans.
No, it is. There's less competition. There's less things to compete with on air.
I don't know. I was sitting there watching that last night, and I'm like, this is so perfect. There's nothing else I want to watch. I mean, there's regular season baseball games, but you can give or take those.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the NBA Finals.
Right.
It doesn't get more urgent than that.
All right, Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
All right. By the way, Game 4 last night in Milwaukee brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing senior rider. Covering the NBA since the early 90s. So, my takeaway on this is Chris Paul looked worn down. Jrue Holiday's probably 3 to 4 inches taller, 30 pounds heavier. He's a big physical player. Mike Budenholzer's not known for adjustments, but putting Jrue Holiday on Chris Paul, it did look like Chris Paul was worn out last night. Your thoughts?
No question. There's a reason that Jrue Holiday is a first-team all-defensive selection this year, along with Giannis Antetokounmpo. And you're exactly right. It's the physicality. It's the willingness to fight over screens. He's made everything hard on Chris, and as a result, it has worn him down. And it's really the Achilles heel of this Phoenix Suns team, because if Chris Paul is not getting his and creating for others, he's really the only playmaker that they have that makes things easier for everybody else, particularly DeAndre Ayton. Ayton's ability to be effective and efficient is hurt in a major way when Chris Paul is having to fight just to protect the ball, just to be able to score. Until last night, Chris Paul has still shot the ball well in the mid-range, has not shot it particularly well from long range. But Jrue Holiday it's why I refuse any Jrue Holiday slander. Yes, he was 4 for 20 last night. Yes, he's had 3 games where he has not shot well in this series. But since taking over the #1 assignment on Chris Paul, he has been the primary defender and the primary reason that Chris Paul has struggled, and as a result, so have the Suns.
You know, there's great shooters like Dame or Steph Curry, and then there are guys that are hot and cold like Chris Middleton. And, you know, last night he was bad early, great late. He is really on this roster of tough guys, thick guys, bruising guys. He's their best shooter. What do you make of last night and Middleton as a trustworthy player in the next 3 games?
It's pretty simple, actually, and it's why I still favor the Bucks to win this series, even though 2 of the next 3 are in Phoenix. And it's because if you're going to give me Chris Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo playing pick and roll against Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton, I better win that matchup. I like Mikal Bridges. I think he's a good young player. But this is his first time in the playoffs. And the threat of Giannis as the roller in pick and roll is creating opportunities for Chris Middleton that a good shooter, scorer should make consistently. So they really this is the matchup. And versus Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton against Jrue Holiday and Giannis Antetokounmpo, 2 first-team all-defensive players. I don't want to oversimplify this series, but it really comes down to that. The Bucks 2-man game is an experienced one playing against a relatively inexperienced one.